Gal.
Missed the last train. Need to book an Uber. Bloody hell, no Wi-Fi. Oh, I guess I'm staying up all night. Oh, I'm too old for this. Out drinking late in Japan? Stay safe and be prepared. Get Wi-Fi coverage across Japan and Google where to go. Rent a mini Wi-Fi router or eSIM with Ninja Wi-Fi. Trusted by 21 million customers worldwide, Ninja Wi-Fi provides great service for an affordable price. Visit ninjawifi.com and use the code GAL for 20% off.
この番組はグローバル Wi-Fi、忍者 Wi-Fi、Wi-Fi レンタル、クランチーロール、そして JAL の提供でお送りします。
Hey guys, it's me, Bish, your boy. We're back for another episode of GALP. GALP, the number 29th ranked JRPG podcast worldwide. Hopefully we can get to number 1 soon. And let's talk about Summer Games Fest, the Xbox announcements, the Sony announcements, all sorts. Before we get into it, let's go into our disclaimer because it is going to get pretty dicey. For you new folks, GALP is a weekly gaming discussion podcast on the GALP Podcast Network. We talk about all sorts of games from big AAA titles all the way to awesome indie games, but our forte is Japanese games, so expect that a lot. We can be found anywhere where you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now on YouTube. Whilst you're there, be sure to give us a 5-star review. And remember, if you want to join in on the fun, then follow us on all of our socials, Blue Sky, TikTok, Insta, and X, all at GALP Podcasts. Okay, so today it's a little bit of an emergency episode because I'm freaking out a bit. I've been tweeting a lot more. You guys have been noticing that, so thank you. But I've been noticing that there's some games that came out, some games that have been announced, and it is what we wanted, I guess, but not in the way we wanted it. So let's get the cat out of the bag from the beginning. I don't want to waste any more time on this. Persona 4 Remake. Now it's known as Persona 4 Revival. To me, the announcement of this game, I knew it was going to happen. I had a feeling. The only reason being is because, well, you know, Persona 3 Remake or Reload came out. It was great. Microsoft had announced it at a Summer Games Fest event similar to this one that just happened, and they showed us gameplay and a release date, and there was a lot of hype around it, and it was like, and they said, yeah, we're gonna get the game next year, so they gave us a release date for it, which was pretty cool. It gave us something to look forward to, and of course they were pushing Game Pass heavily as well, and they, I believe, also announced Persona 5 Tactica, and they were like, guess what, this game is already available on Game Pass, and Persona 5 Royal was also available on Game Pass at that announcement. So we were expecting something similar to that. We were expecting some sort of gameplay footage and things like that. I don't think Atlus were ready to show the game off. I think this whole issue with the voice actors, as you know, Yuri Lowenthal, who is actually a friend of the show, Yuri Lowenthal, and a few other voice actors, including Aaron Fitzgerald and a few others, had actually came out and confirmed that the game's existence. So they confirmed that the game existed. It annoyed me a lot. It annoyed a lot of fans, but also it gave a lot of fans hope that, oh yeah, they were getting a new Persona game. I had already known that we were getting a new Persona game for a while, and I knew it was going to be Persona 4. Mainly because they've milked Persona 4 a lot with spin-off games, with an anime, and it's one of the most popular Persona games. And in fact, it's one of the reasons why Persona 5 is so big, right? Because there's a lot of people that came from Persona 4 into Persona 5, played all those games, and then went back to Persona 3. It seems very odd that Atlus would have remade Persona 3 and not remade Persona 4. So we knew it was coming. We didn't know when. I had a feeling that it was probably going to be announced this year or next year at an Xbox event, just because it was done the same way for Persona 3. So yeah, I was assuming it would be the same thing. But of course, part of me thinks with all this extra information going on that maybe this game wasn't really ready to show off at an Xbox event, or in any event, to be fair. Why do I say this? So, of course, the voice actors, Yuri, I don't want to comment on a lot of what Yuri had said, but basically he was like, Atlus has said, I'm not going to be Yosuke in the new Persona game, or whatever. He said something like that. Or he said in Persona 4 Remake. So he actually said it, that I'm not going to be Yosuke in Persona 4 Remake. Okay, cool. Thanks for spoiling. We appreciate that. it had kind of taken a little bit of hype away. We already knew the game was coming, really, but to hear it from a voice actor, and it kind of felt a little bit like douchey. I don't want to say it because I actually do love Yuri. He's a legendary voice actor, and he's actually a very humble guy. So I don't know why this or where this tweet came from. A lot of people are like, "Oh no, man, this is just Atlas driving hype because the next voice actor was Eren, who's the voice of Chie, had actually said the same thing." But I'm presuming Eren had said that to sort of back up her friend Yuri. They are good friends, and you know, I know Eren. She's an amazing person. She doesn't really deserve any hate, but you know, she was just backing up Yuri. It seemed like that. I don't have any confirmation of that, but having interactions with Eren in the past, it did kind of feel like that. I don't feel that she's to blame by any means. For the fans, it kind of took her out of us. Like, it was like, okay, cool, thank you. I was excited for the hype. I kind of feel like with what has gone on, it wasn't a marketing ploy because the trailer we got looked really quite poor. It was just literally a couple of seconds of Yu Narukami walking and a CG of a classroom in 3D. It looked like a student had made it or an intern. It didn't look like gameplay footage at all, which is fair. We're not expecting to see gameplay footage of it. They technically already have a Yu Narukami character model because there are character models of him present in Persona 5 and in Persona 3. Some people would say, oh, they're going to use the Dancing All Night models. They might do for this purpose, but I think there's already a fully fleshed model in the Persona 5 engine already, hence why we're only seeing Yu Narukami, and a lot of the assets look kind of bog standard as well. So that's my kind of thing with it. It looked a bit off. Even the logo looks a bit off as well. Like, it doesn't look as polished as the Persona 4 logo or even Golden's logo or Persona 3 remakes. But we don't know much about this game. We don't know what Atlus is going to do with it, where it's going to be focused on. Is it going to be focused on base Persona 4 or on Golden? We don't know all this information. A lot of people might speculate that, okay, they will give us base Persona 4 and then give us Golden content in DLC, but then technically the Golden content is baked into the main game. It's not like Persona 3 and The Answer. You know, it's not actually a DLC, although technically it is, but it's baked into the main game. So I am not quite sure how they're going to approach it. Best case scenario, they go and remake it using Golden as a base and then potentially give us further DLC based on other storylines. Or they could give us, I mean, technically they could give us Golden DLC if they do it as New Game Plus DLC, which would be very interesting because I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. DLC included as New Game Plus, because then that would make sense. Then it will be sort of reintegrated back into the story. I could see Atlus doing that. My issue with the announcement at the Xbox event was it was a 20-second thing. It wasn't really an announcement. And I kind of felt like Atlus were not really actively developing this game, or they were very early in development because they were still working on DLC from Persona 3. So I think that they were working on this game after the DLC had ended. So after they had released the DLC for Persona 3, so The Answer. It has been mentioned in the past that Atlus has, obviously P Studio were working on Metaphor. And I believe there was some interviews where they were talking about during Persona 3's development cycle that they were using another development studio or sub-development studio within Atlus that were dealing with the spin-off games. So we don't know if that was the same case here or if it's going to be the same case here. I'm not too sure. There is, as we speak, there has been an announcement from Kazuhisa Wada from the P Studio. He's mentioned, and I'm going to quote him here, "We are very pleased to announce the release of Persona 4 Revival. We look forward to sharing even more information in due time. Persona 4 has spawned numerous spin-off works, including TV anime, Persona 4 Arena, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and the Persona 4 Dancing All Night. And this is a special title that has been part of Atlus for many years and holds a special personal place in my heart. We're working on this project with all our passion and love, and we're confident that this will be a fresh and surprising product for both newcomers and longtime fans, and we look forward to sharing with you all. Additionally, we are actively preparing for the future development of the Persona series as a studio. We're working hard to meet the expectations of fans around the world, and our work is progressing well. Please stay tuned for more updates. We look forward to your continued support of the Persona series." P Studio Director Kazuhisa Wada. There's something very interesting that he's mentioned here, and this is what leads me to believe that they weren't actively working on Persona 4 Revival. Obviously, the artwork and the logo doesn't really look that, interesting. I mean, they do have a trademark already on it, which makes me think that they obviously knew that they were going to be developing this game, but it's very early in development. The fact that he's mentioned we're actively preparing the future development of the Persona series as a studio and our work is progressing well. I think they've been working on Persona 6, for a while now. I potentially think that Persona 6 has been worked on since Persona 5 has ended. So since the PS3 days, remember Persona 5 was a PS3 title and a PS4 title. So, early PS4 days, they've been working on this, I think, for Persona 5. Bear in mind, new consoles has released since then. And this kind of feels like a title to sort of buy some time, which is fair because I do believe Atlus knows how to make a really good game. And when Persona 6 eventually does come in, I think, a suspected 3 to 4 years' time, and that's optimistic, I think that this game would be amazing. I think, going back to the whole Yuri Lowenthal thing, I think he had basically had a conversation with Atlus. They had mentioned no, as he mentioned, and he had tweeted it. Atlus didn't think he'd tweet about it, and it caused some internal panic in Atlus. Hence why we got this announcement. Clearly they weren't ready. Clearly they're in very early development stages. And so they showed us this. Are we going to see more at TGS? Probably not. I don't think we're going to see more until a winter time, maybe early winter, like a sort of spring state of play or something like that, or a winter state of play. That's what I think. I don't think we're going to see any more of this for the moment. I think it's more likely that we'd see more of Persona 6. However, to play devil's advocate, they're not really going to promote Persona 6 when they've got Persona 4 in there in the lineup, if that makes sense. Anyway, I mentioned this briefly. I've been talking about it for like 10 minutes now, 14 minutes maybe. But yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. Not by Atlus. I'm just disappointed by the voice actors because they leaked the game. They shouldn't have done that. It's very unprofessional. And I know some people are like, well, at least we know the game. We knew the game was coming. Anyone knew the game was coming. They could predict it, right? But it takes away from the hype. And we got a trailer like this because I genuinely believe Atlus were not going to announce anything this year, or at least at this point in time. It might have been towards the end of the year. It may have been towards TGS. Would have given them a little bit more time to show something off. Because bear in mind, for Persona 3, we had gotten a lot more. We had gotten a release date, as well as many other things. And a release date within a year. So the fact that we didn't get a release date means Atlus knows that they're nowhere near ready. They were showing us Persona 3, and that game looked pretty much ready. So yeah, that's Persona 4 Revival. I'm just disappointed. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. Like, I'm glad that it's going to be on all the consoles. Basically, it's not going to be on the Switch 2. It hasn't been announced for Switch 2 at the moment. I don't think it's going to get announced for Switch 2 because then you'd probably have to re-release Reload for Switch 2 and then probably Persona 5 for Switch 2. And bear in mind, Reload wasn't on the PS4 and the Switch 2 is basically a PS4, or let's say a PS4 Pro because it can output 4K. So, it's not as powerful as PS5 or an Xbox Series or PC even. So yeah, I don't think we're going to get a Switch 2 port. We could, but I highly doubt it. There's other things that I do want to talk about, and I don't know if I want to do them in a separate episode, but generally, what do I think of Persona 4 Revival? I'm looking forward to it. The hype is a little bit dead for me now, but I am looking forward to it. When we see gameplay footage, I'm looking forward to it. Persona 4 was one of my favorite games of all time. I had spent a good 400 hours playing Persona 4. And that's Persona 4 Golden, right? Because that's my first Persona game. I spent 300 hours on the PSP on my original save and another 100 hours on the Persona 4 Golden release on the PlayStation/PC. So yeah, I know a lot about Persona. I'm pretty proud of it, Yeah, I'm looking forward to new voice actors as well. I think a lot of people get a little bit angry, like, oh no, what about the old voice actors? A lot of these old voice actors, although they are iconic, they are quite old now. And I think it's time to pass the torch. I think Yuri Lowenthal is in his 50s, so not saying that's a bad thing, but we kind of have to remember that, well, a lot of these older games, these PS2 titles, a lot of these voice actors were new to voice acting, right? They were considered green voice actors, and this may have been their big chance. So I kind of think it's now an opportunity for someone else to get their big break, someone else to sort of almost pass the torch. And we kind of seen that with Persona 3. at least the reaction with the voice acting. Some people were disappointed. But the voice actors themselves, the original cast, were very happy to sort of pass on the torch. I don't know why that's not occurring now. It might do when the game is announced. When we see more of the game and when the voice cast is announced. So, yeah. I'm just excited to see what we can see in terms of graphical performance, in terms of personas. We know what the personas are going to look like because they are available in Persona 3 and in Persona 5. I'm actually interested to see what new gameplay mechanics are we going to see, because obviously Tartarus got a big overhaul in Persona 3. They added some more features in there as well within Tartarus. I don't really want to spoil it for those who haven't played Persona 3, but there's a lot of gameplay mechanics and a lot of changes to social links as well. So it would be nice to see all of that return and yeah, get back into fusing. I want to see what the Velvet Room looks like. I want to see the interactions between Elizabeth and Igor and all sorts, right? I just want to get back into Persona 4. I think Persona 4 was a game that changed a lot of people's lives and got a lot of people into Persona series, especially because of the PlayStation Vita, because it's like if you owned a PlayStation Vita, you owned Persona 4 Golden, because it was often bundled with it. But also that was pretty much the only games to play. Like it was like Persona 4 Golden and Danganronpa, you know? If you own a Vita, you own those games, right? At least one of them, and it's most likely Persona 4 Gold. So yeah, I think Golden has a lot of space in a lot of people's hearts, and including myself. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into it, and yeah, hopefully I'm hoping there's like mini games in there as well. I'm hoping there's like a dancing mini game, like Persona 4 Dancing All Night as a mini game in the game. Not that there would be, but there's like a bar in the game as well that you can hang out in. And kind of remember, like Persona 4 Golden, you couldn't really go into these places. It was kind of like, it wasn't necessarily 3D. I mean, it was, but it wasn't really like Persona 4 or Persona 3 portable. Actually, no, it's not like Persona 5 in which you can actually go into the shops and like interact and walk around. There was almost like a PNG type thing, which you do kind of get in Persona 5 as well. But it's interesting because they still make it look 3D, but it's still a PNG image. Anyways, that's like technical details that I don't want to get into. But yeah, that was my thoughts on Persona 4 Revival. When we get more information, I'm going to do a complete deep dive on it, talk about my history of Persona 4 and what I'm expecting for Persona 4 Revival. But until then, let me know what you think on Twitter, on Blue Sky, in the comments, even on YouTube and on Spotify as well. So let me know what you think, and we might even talk about it on the next episode. See you guys.